Hey y'all, it's Nancy the Handy Scandy here with Whimsy Stamps. Thanks for joining me. We are going to be making this fun slimline card today. We're going to start by using this beautiful Ocean Fest rubber cling slimline stamp. Of course, when you use anything with red rubber, you need to go ahead and take that mat out of your MISTI. I do that first thing, otherwise I forget. And I knew when I saw this stamp that I really wanted to use some of those beautiful gel plate prints that I have. So I've actually pulled this one out. I used several on this particular day, but this is the one I decided to show you today. Obviously, I trimmed it all down, cut off those kind of grungy edges, which I love, but just didn't fit this card. And I have stamped it up in my Versamark ink, and I'm putting some white embossing powder on it, and then I hit it with my heat tool. Now, as I am melting all of that beautiful embossing powder, it hit me that there were a couple spots that did not get enough embossing ink. So I actually had to re-stamp and re-emboss 3 times before I got all the spots. But ultimately we persevered, and I love all the detail. It's so prominent and so pretty, and I'm just in love. So here I have the Slimline Scenic Countryside die. And I knew that I wanted this to look like a wood grain, and so it's a nice thick chunky frame, but I was auditioning it because I didn't want to lose any of that image. But of course, you know, I had to lose something. So I'm auditioning and trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. So I just kind of set it aside while I was thinking, and I pulled out this beautiful Shiplap stamp. Again, it's a rubber cling, and I just leave it on my desktop. I turn it upside down and I take the paper to the stamp instead of the other way around. Now you can see that I'm using my Distress Oxides. I've got Shabby Shutters, Peeled Paint, and Rustic Wilderness, and I don't think I could have chosen 3 colors more perfect to match this background, so I'm really happy with that. So I stamped probably about 2/3 of the paper of the cardstock, and that is what I'm going to be die cutting my frame out of. And then of course I inked it up, as you can see, a second time, and I just kind of eyeball it, but thankfully I actually lined them up pretty well. They kind of overlap the edges, and it really looks like die cut planks. So I'm really happy with the way it turns out, and we'll see it here in just a second. Sadly, when I was making, I was just in the zone and wasn't even thinking about the camera. So I do apologize for that we don't get to see it until here. So you can see where those joints butted up, and it really kind of looks like floor planks. I'm not mad about that at all. So while this ink is still mostly wet, I hit it with some clear embossing powder. I just wanted there to be a little more texture, and I'm always looking for some shine. So here I have die cut the panel, and you can see I have my little excess piece up there at the top left. And here's where I'm just kind of using the frame as like a viewfinder, like what are my favorite features on this? Which ones do I absolutely not want cut off? And I know that I love that octopus and that seahorse, and so ultimately that's where I decided to make my focal point. So I'm thinking more about what can I keep versus what do I have to lose. So I just trying to kind of change my perspective, and that's what helped me kind of choose, because I was moving it around and going here nope, here nope. That decision making process was far more complicated than it needed to be, but ultimately I settled for here, and I'm really happy with it. So I'm using my mini cutter here, and I'm just trimming off the excess, and I am not mad about this at all. I hopefully will find a way to use these excess pieces. I tend to keep them at least for a time, and if I find something to use them on, then bonus, and if not, it's okay. So here I have a green layer that's kind of that pretty olivey green, and it's just from my stash, and I cut it down to make a coordinating little border, glued it directly to the base, and then I used some foam tape, double-sided foam tape, to adhere the embossed panel down on top of the green layer. And here I've taken the happy as a clam sentiment from the Beach Huts clear stamp set, and that is new for June 10th 2022 as well. Both very fun stamps, and obviously a stamp set. So I stamped it onto that same wood plank cardstock. I don't know what to call it. But anyway, I think it turns out like one of those kind of funky weathered beach signs, you know, that you might see on a deserted island or a very few inhabitants. So I just cut these kind of zigzag, crooked, spiky things on the ends. So I do it on both sides, and then I hit it with my ink blending tools, and I use the same Distress Oxide inks that I use to stamp up the stamp. So I think this is kind of a fun feature, and it's just really cute. So while we watch me do this, I just want to take a second and again thank you guys for joining me today. And this is kind of a reminder, if you have not already hit that like button, I encourage you to do so. If you are already a member of the Whimsy Stamps Crafty Tribe, I thank you for coming back again today. If you are not a member, this would be a great time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't forget by the end of the video, because we would love to see all of you come back. We always have fun, new inspiration, so many different designers on the team. We all have different takes on the products, and it's just a good time here on the Whimsy channel. So again, thanks for joining me, and I encourage you to come back. So as I wrap up this card, because I am almost done, you can see that fun ink blending I did to give it kind of that weathered look, like it's been out on the beach and getting mossy and moldy and mildewy and all those things. And then I used like a little rusty pen to make what looks like, at least in my head, some little rusty nail heads on the sign, like it's hammered to the frame. So here you can see all those glorious details that are just part of the stamp. Like the artist did all that fine detailed work for us, and I have loved this stamp so much. I think I've made 4 or 5 cards, and I still have one panel waiting to be made into something. So guys, thank you so much. I'll have everything listed and linked downstairs for ease of shopping, or if you just want to go look and play. And until next time guys, this is Nancy, the Handy Scandy, and I invite you to join us on all of our social media platforms. And until next time, mwah, I'm out.